Team Lethal fans, Joe with Lethal Performance here, and today I've got a quick, safe, and easy way to lift your Bronco up a few inches. This is Icon Vehicle Dynamics lift and level system here for the 21 and up Ford Bronco. Now this will work with any 21 and up Bronco except for specific Wildtrak editions with the Haas 3.0 system. This will work with any suspension package that is listed under the Haas 1.0 and Haas 2.0. We'll go into the differences a little bit later here in the video, but let's go ahead and get started. This is a perfect kit here for those who aren't looking for anything too crazy but just want to fit some larger wheels and tires under their truck without the fear of it rubbing anything, as well as getting a little bit more clearance under the vehicle itself. So let's get inside the box here, break down the kit itself, see how simple it really is, and overall see why you're going to want it for your truck. So now that I've got it out here on the table, you can see how simple the kit is here. It's really not too far off from like a wheel spacer that you put on your car, although of course you don't have to take apart your suspension to put a wheel spacer on your car. At least hopefully you don't, depending on what car you got going on out there. But essentially these are as simple as putting a spacer onto the strut. For the fronts, you're going to have to compress and disassemble the struts from the hat itself, in which you're going to install one of each of these. The first part is going to go actually into the underside of the hat itself, which is why you're going to have to decompress the hat, and then it's going to reinstall with some of the stock components, compress back down again, and then you're going to use this part here on the top of the hat where it connects to the vehicle. Now Icon of course supplies their hardware here, which is all hardened steel, so you have no worries that it's going to break at the end of the day, and overall these pieces here are all finished with a nice black anodizing so that it has no chance of corrosion under the vehicle itself. So this kit's whole purpose here is to lift the truck to right around 3 inches over the stock height, and it's also going to take the rear and level it. Therefore you're going to get about a 3-inch lift at the front, and since the rear from the factory is raised up a little bit higher than the front, you're going to get right around a 2 3/4 lift in the rear to go ahead and level it out. Although if you have a Sasquatch package, to level it out properly, they recommend that you only install this portion of it here on the rear and don't do the 2 pieces that you would normally do, let's just say if you didn't have a Sasquatch package vehicle. So you'll see that later in the install. We won't be decompressing the rear struts simply because we don't have to. We have a Sasquatch package, and it's going to level it and lift it perfectly without it. Now with any lift that's starting to get into those aggressive numbers like 3, 4, or 5 inches, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting the correct components that you need and that you're getting all of the components that you need. You don't want to have any failures or anything shortly down the road here because you've overextended your ball joints or any other of the components down there on the front end or even the rear end of the suspension. Luckily, Icon has done their fair bit of research here on these, and they found that with these on the vehicle, 3 inches is not enough to overextend any of the suspension components and works quite well with the stock geometry of the truck. So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get these on the truck, get our new wheels and tires on the truck, and show you guys what it looks like.
All right, today's the day. Woo! We're going to get the Bronco lifted. We're going to put the wheels on. We've been waiting to do this for a while, and now it's time. We're headed over to WBA Performance. Let's do it. Woo!
So now that we've got the truck up on the lift, we can see here what we'll be doing here today. Basically, we're going to be taking out this strut here by removing the 2 cam bolts that hold on the lower control arm, taking off the 2 nuts holding that strut to the control arm, and then taking off the sway bar link and also removing the 3 nuts off the top of the strut itself. Then the strut should come totally loose and out, and then we'll add the Icon pieces to it to make sure we get that lift. First things first, we have to remove the 4 15mm bolts on the sway bar support and guard. Next, we took off the sway bar link nut. Next, we strapped up our sway bar assembly and unbolted it from the frame just to give us the extra clearance we needed to get the sway bar links out. Once you have it loose and hanging, you should be able to pop the links right out of the hole. Next, we took off the 2 bolts holding the strut to the lower control arm. Once removed, we can move to the cam bolts. Once we supported the arm from underneath, relieving any of the tension that could be holding those bolts back, we can easily loosen the cam bolts and remove it from both attach points of the control arm. Once the control arm is totally free, you can move to the top of the strut and loosen those nuts up there. This should allow the strut to be totally loose, in which then you can then remove it carefully from the vehicle. Now, onto the bench, where we have to remove the spring pin, compress the spring just enough to get the strut hat off, and finally start adding the icon pieces to it. You may want to mark the position of your studs in your current hat, simply because you're going to be changing that around with the icon components that we're going to be adding here, and if you have it marked somewhere on the spring or anywhere in that general area, it'll give you a lot better shot of getting it up in the vehicle and aligned the first time around. One last thing we need to do is cut a little bit of the OEM stud off of the hat, just enough to where it gives us just perfect enough clearance for the icon piece to fit on there. You want to use the OEM nuts to secure the icon pieces in place, and then use the supplied bolts that Icon gives you to hold the strut in place on the truck. Finally, when you're done, it should look something like this. Now, you can slowly remove the spring compressors and go for the reinstall. Once you have everything reinstalled, you can go ahead and repeat this on the other side. Now, we're going to go to the rears. These are a little bit easier than the fronts, so let's go ahead and get to it. First, we got to remove the fender liner by popping all of those pins out. Next, we loosen the bottom shock bolt. It is advised to support the rear axle to alleviate any pressure that may be on top of that bolt there holding it in place. Once you have the pressure alleviated and once you have the bolt loosened, it should come right out without any issue. Once you have that bottom bolt out, you can go ahead and let the rear end come down to its resting point. Once you have those three nuts up off top, you should be able to pull the strut right out without any issue. Now, since we have the Sasquatch package, all we need for the rear is only one of the icon pieces, and we do not have to compress the spring to fit any others in. Once again, you're going to want to use the OEM nuts to secure the icon pieces to the strut, and you're going to want to use the bolts that Icon supplied to secure the strut to the truck. Once you've got the icon pieces on, you're ready to put this thing back together.
What's up, Team Lethal fans? Mustang King in the house. We're next door over at WBA Performance, and behind me is our 2021 First Edition Bronco with a 2.7 liter. Now, we've been loving this Bronco since the day we got it. We actually were very fortunate to get it pretty early, and we've been able to do a whole bunch of testing for a bunch of different companies we deal with. First off, we've got the Whipple calibration on here, along with their Stage 1 kit, which includes their high flow air filter and their intercooler. We've also gone through several different exhaust systems on this vehicle. I'm talking AWE, Roush, MRT, a bunch of different exhausts we've got on here. And we've been loving this truck. Now, I've been watching all the different forums and the groups, and we've been really wanting to get along on our build, doing the lift and the wheels and stuff. Everyone out there has been posting such great pictures of their vehicles, and it's kind of wanted me to get going on this. Now, we've had a couple snags along the way. The fact that we've been waiting on parts, pretty common theme right now in our industry. So we intended to go with the Fox lift on here for the Sasquatch package, and those things have been on back order for a while. So what we did, we decided to just go with a spacer kit from Icon, which is their 3-inch spacer leveling lift kit, and we've got these beauties right here. These are the VR Forged 17 by 8.5 D14 wheels in matte black. They also have them available in satin bronze. They do have them in 20-inch as well as a few other sizes available in 18 by 9 as well. So I want to give a big shout out to my man Dan over at VR Forged. Thank you for hooking it up. These wheels look great. They're wrapped in BF Goodrich 37s. To make this work for the spare tire, we did have to go with the bracket from VR Forged as well, which is the third brake light bracket extension. And that raises this light up to be able to handle a 37-inch tire over there. So we got the spacer kit on here. We've got the wheels and tires all mounted up. We've also got that bracket extension to put that spare tire back here. So let's see how it looks.